For dramatic effect, of course. What's happening, folks? Welcome to Hunting with Tripler. I'm a part-time reseller out of Southern California, and I've been a part-time reseller for about 5 or 6 years now. I had a goal in mind when I started reselling. I wanted to make extra cash for my family. I wanted to save money for a huge addition that we were going to put onto our house. And in 2021, approximately 2 weeks ago, I finished one of the biggest goals that I ever had. But I'm extremely proud of the amount of time and the effort that I put into reselling so that I had enough cash to be able to make that dream come true. But this video is going to be a lot different from many of the videos that I've made in the past. My videos usually surround the finds, going out and sourcing really amazing stuff, and sometimes it's not amazing, sometimes it's just showing you what are the bread and butter items that you need to look for as a reseller. And traditionally, you're going to see a lot of the pickups that I have surrounding vintage toys, electronics, video games, and I do dabble into other types of genres of resale. I mean, quite honestly, if I can make money off of it, there's a really good chance that I'm going to pick that item up. And there are a lot of categories of resale that I tend to stay really far away from. Clothing is one of those things that I'm totally scared of. And I want to give you guys some advice because quite honestly, being a reseller, it's really hard. All of it's hard. Now there are parts of it that are extremely exciting, really fun, and capturing some of that, there's no question. It's like some of the best parts that you can share with the reselling community. Oftentimes you're educating people who otherwise wouldn't know anything about a particular item, maybe even a category of resale, and you're helping them make money. And there's nothing more rewarding than making a channel dedicated to reselling and helping people out. It feels really good. It's hard to make a channel though, where you're not coming off like you're bragging all of the time. It comes with putting out your stuff on social media. That is the reality. If you're going to put up stuff and you're gonna show some of the best finds you have, you're doing it because you want other people to see how amazing it can be. It's motivational. You're getting people to get excited about the realities of reselling. But I say it's hard because as you grow a business like reselling, whether it's selling clothing, whether it's selling toys, whether it's selling video games, there are so many different avenues that you can take to get into those different categories, but staying in them, working in them, it's hard. Some of you are wondering, well, what's hard about it? If you're not a reseller and you want to become a reseller, this is a PSA. This is not to dissuade you from becoming one. This is not to tell you to go into something that I'm already in and try to push you away from it. I have no intention of stopping what I'm doing. I have no reason to say that I don't want you to do this, but I want you to know the realities of what being a reseller really is all about. Because I have been down every single road of don't do that when it comes to reselling. I've learned some terribly hard lessons, and this last year alone, I've made about $10,000 in terrible investments that ultimately has cost me, and it's cost this business that I've started. And some of you might be wondering, well, what's that all about? What are you talking about? But before I get into that, I want to give you that breakdown. What is it that makes reselling so hard that you may not want to do it? So I have to start with myself. I have been interested in entrepreneurship since I was a kid. I've always started random little side businesses. I was always out there selling door to door. I was the kid that always wanted to do just a little bit more for my own personal gain. It was just in me. I always had that passion. Both of my parents owned their own business, and I wanted part of that. I really did. I bought my first house in 2003. I turned it into a rental property, and today it's an Airbnb. I don't really talk about that as a part of my business pursuits, but I'm talking about entrepreneurship because as being somebody who's motivated by making money, by helping people out, I always knew that reselling was going to be something I thought I could do a pretty good job at. One, because I never would give up. Two, because I knew that there were enough resources around my area that could aid me in becoming successful at this. For example, I bought space at a just ridiculous discount. I turned part of it into an office where I spend most of my time for my day job. The other part of it is storage, and another part of that space I lease out to photographers who are looking for a little bit of open area to be able to do photo shoots. So I'm always looking at the resources that I have and trying to make all of that work for me. And then on top of that, I got an employee. About a month and a half ago, I got my first employee working for me as a reseller. And one thing that has really become truly apparent is that as great as he has been for this business, it is incredibly hard trying to teach someone else all the information that you know, and to try to teach someone to do things the way that you want to do them. It's hard. And then you also have to consider how much time are you putting into your reselling business. And as a part-time reseller, I can tell you, I have spent nights, 3 a.m., heading home, getting up at 7 a.m., and doing it all over again. This isn't a sob story. This is not me trying to tell you that I work harder than anyone else. That's certainly far from the case. But I'm telling you that the amount of time that I've put in as a part-time reseller is tremendous. To be able to have some of the numbers that I've been able to have is attributed to the amount of time that I've actually put into it. If you're a full-time reseller and you can spend 8 to 5 every day, and then maybe even push past that, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The amount of time you'll put in as a reseller will certainly eclipse 40 hours a week. And if you want to scale your business, then I promise you, as an entrepreneur, someone who owns your own thing, you're going to realize quickly that 50, 60 hours could be very common for you. Figuring out whether you have to branch past your house or your garage or your shed or into a warehouse, or if you need employees, or if you have enough hours in a day to operate this, you also have to know there are just a tremendous amount of mistakes that aid you in becoming better at your job. But for me, this last year, I decided to get on the train of investing heavily into the card market. I made, one of the greatest mistakes that I've ever made. And monetary value aside, no one should have done this because there were too many signs, had I done my research, not to make the purchase. Look, reselling is buying something at one price and being able to flip it for a profit. And clearly I had that intention in mind. I bought 2 cases of 1990 Fleer basketball. 2 cases at the height of the market, probably 2 weeks before it really capped off at its highest. I decided to go well above the highest price there was because I didn't think there was going to be an end to it. I thought the prices for vintage basketball cards was just going to go up forever. Well, I was wrong. Not only was I wrong, I bought 2 cases. Each case that I bought was $6,000 a piece. Now, if you do the math, there are 20 boxes in each case, and at the height of the market, you could have bought one of those boxes roughly at $400. Today, you can buy them for about $150. If I would have sold every single one of those boxes at $400 a piece, well, I would have been at $8,000. I would have had a $2,000 profit. Of course, there would have been shipping and there would have been fees, but anything north of $1,000 to me was a huge win. Didn't happen. I started to reduce the price of each of the cases that I had. Sealed cases. I went from $8,000, $7,700, $7,500, $6,700, $6,500. Right now I'm sitting at $6,400 per case, and I'm just trying to get out at my investment, and I am the highest priced item on eBay. I'm not going to get that money back. It is a terrible mistake. This entire video is really to share with you guys that mistakes can be made, you can recover. But don't do what I did. Even a seasoned reseller, I would call myself, made the kind of mistake he made without really doing enough research, without checking with some experts, without really reaching out to the right people. And this is not intended to be a dialogue about the card market because in all fairness, I am very much an amateur in that respect, and that was another sign. I should not be diving into areas where I don't have enough experience, especially to make a huge purchase like that. eBay mistakes are some of the easiest to make, especially if you're trying to be a top-rated seller, which granted has a lot of benefits, but you might make the mistake of listing your item as a priority shipped item, and then you ship it FedEx, and FedEx takes a lot longer than priority, and it turns out you're gonna get a ding because you didn't ship it the way you were supposed to. It's a small mistake to make. You can easily recover from something like that. And shipping mistakes, there are so many to make. Not packaging something correctly, in particular electronics that are really fragile. You know how many times I have shipped an item that was really large and bulky, it got to the buyer and it was broken. It has happened more times than I want to admit. I tell you things like that because if you are not comfortable shipping large items, then just don't do it. Stay away from it. Many times have said to myself, why am I trying to ship really large printers and spend an hour just packaging up one item to make $50 or $60 profit? It's not worth it. And I've made retail arbitrage mistakes that just are mind-boggling. I've seen the sales rank on Amazon. I see whether I can sell it. I check to see if eBay is actually a better price. I will buy it thinking that I'm gonna sell it because there are a number of comps. I'm really competitive with my pricing, and then it just doesn't sell. And then it sits there forever. I check the sell-through rate, I check the sales rank. Why isn't it selling? Sometimes it just doesn't. And now you have inventory that you can't move. And clothing in particular is one of those instances where I just left and just abandoned altogether because all too many times my eyes just couldn't see what the buyer could see, where maybe there is less than a quarter of an inch sized, stain on a black t-shirt that I couldn't see, or maybe there was a small tear or a thread that was coming loose, and maybe some of these buyers were really super picky, but at the end of the day, it happened one too many times that the buyers just weren't happy with the fact that I wasn't being detail-oriented with what I was selling. And why do I say all this? I have documented so many of my journeys on YouTube, and I don't talk enough about the instances where I just failed. I failed miserably. And I look across the spectrum of all of my entrepreneurial endeavors, and you know what? I fail a lot. And it's okay. I'm getting so deep here. I'm not my jovial self that I normally am. And this is not supposed to be a downer video. What this is supposed to be is you can push through a $10,000 mistake, come out the other side, and be better for it. I want all of you to know that yes, reselling is super hard. All of it. Everything from your resources, everything from sourcing, everything all the way down to shipping and packaging and taking photos. It's all hard, but you own your own thing. It's yours. You can do whatever you want with it. Just be smart with your time and be yourself. Don't change the dynamic of what makes you you and why you started reselling in the first place. If you are motivated, if you've got a product to sell, if you see value in something that you can get to somebody else across the country, you should be a reseller. I could go through a monstrous list to tell you guys all about the great resellers that are out there, but there are just so many. There are so many, and there are so many great YouTube channels, TikTok channels that are dedicated to showing you how to be the best version of yourself. With all that being said, with this very long rant, again, I know this is a different video than you're used to seeing from Tripler, and I won't be doing these all that often. I find it cathartic to be able to just tell you that it's okay, that some things are hard, and that you can be better for it. If you have made it this far in the video, I'm really surprised. Thank you for watching all the way until this point right here. If you find value in content like this, where it's just me and a camera sort of talking about reselling, then please hit the thumbs up. Tell me that it's valuable to you. Tell me what some of your struggles are. Put it down in the comments. I want to know, what do you struggle with? And maybe as a community, we can figure that out together. Folks, take care. Have an awesome weekend of sales. Have some amazing finds out there. And of course, I will see you next time. Take care.